here with Sonia
Hello.
and Emma from Studio U, and I'm sure you have heard me talk about these girls. Em is my fairy godmother of naturopaths and nutritionist as well, that really helped me start my gut healing journey about 6 years ago. And it's wonderful. I like coming in here and being like, oh yes, it's like nice coming in here feeling good health and, you know, seeing these girls. And I asked them, could we help you guys with some information of basically when we're doing all of these ferments, what else can we do that's going to help our gut health at the same time? But also too, if there's any of this that you're doing, or say you've given it, you know, even to a girlfriend, or you've got hubby having some of this stuff and you have a little inkling that it mightn't be working for them, then what is those signs and what can you do as well? Because I know we talk about in this group a fair bit of like, you know, go slow, get that diversity in. There's no point drinking a litre of kombucha and, you know, kissing your muscles afterwards that you did it. It ain't gonna work, right? Like, we need that diversity the same way that I can't eat a carrot and say, I ate my vegetables today. Well, I need to eat a bit more diversity there as well. So it's gonna be awesome to use these girls' brains to give us some of that information. And guys, there's a comment box here below, so feel free, if you've got a burning question, drop it in because I'm happy to help. But the first thing I want to start with, I guess, I love talking about ferments, and just before we came on and filmed, I was filling the girls in on a few of them that we were doing, and I showed them a picture of that gorgeous sourdough pizza, and I said, look, that's what we kind of do in this group is we teach a ferment, and then it's, well, how can we use it in different ways? I'm interested to know, Em, for you, what's the ferments that you like to eat, and is there a certain time of the day or food that you eat them with?
I am a sucker for fermented veggies. So for me, a good sauerkraut, a good fermented veggies is just so perfect because it's easy.
Yeah.
I can literally, if I'm in the dispensary, I'll grab the jar out of the fridge and literally just grab a fork and have a mouthful and stick it back.
That's a snack.
So, yeah, that could be a snack.
Whoa. I never thought of that. Okay, I like that.
It's quick and easy.
Yeah.
Or we eat a lot of salads here for our lunches, so we'll often put a spoonful of the fermented veggies on the side of our salad. But any flavour too. Like at the moment in the fridge, we've got a turmeric-based one that's cabbage, which is really yummy. But we try and mix it up, so use different ones each time.
I like that.
And what's a really good idea as well is, say, for breakfast you could do a slice of sourdough, a boiled egg, some sauerkraut, and maybe some other mixed greens, and then you're getting the benefits of the prebiotics, as well as the protein from the egg as well.
Yeah.
Something that's really important as well.
And that just sounds delicious.
Yeah, yum.
Like,
Really yum.
Yeah. I'm going to touch on that in a sec about the prebiotics as well. It was interesting too, I was talking to the girls about our fermented carrots that we all love. And I guess that could be another one too, that with our meals, I know often I'm like, okay, this is a little snack, but even just hearing you say that then, Em, it's going, okay, well, how can I pair these into a meal, but also see a ferment that can be a snack as well? Like, I know for me, a thing I'm obsessed with, and we've been making a bit of lately, is pate. And I love eating that on a cucumber. Like, I don't know why, it just works with some pate. But because pate can maybe taste like cat food occasionally, not Stace's recipe, of course, but like sometimes, I find if I put a sauerkraut on top, because it's so much, there's so much flavour there, you can't taste the pate as much, right? So that's another one. All right.
Love it.
We were just chatting before you mentioned the prebiotics. Can you run us through, because I know our brains are like, hang on, isn't that a probiotic?
Yeah,
what? Hang on.
What's the difference?
Yeah, let's do
So
that.
a probiotic basically means of life, like they're living bacteria. This is a really basic way of remembering it.
Love it.
And prebiotics is the food for that bacteria. So we want to be eating the probiotics, like in the sauerkraut, and then what we want to be having is the prebiotics. So things like resistant starch is going to be a prebiotic. So resistant starch can come from cooled boiled potatoes. That's an example.
Nice.
So
Can you
potato
reheat
salad.
them? Or
I
is
think
that
it's
totally...
just once it's heated,
that's done.
So you'll eat it cold.
But then could I reheat after I've cooked it or no?
I don't
No,
think so.
just keep it in cold.
No.
Okay, done.
Yeah.
I can tick, that's fine.
So
Yeah,
a prebiotic basically means that they're feeding your bacteria, and that's really important because we're more bacteria than we are our own cells. So feeding that diversity is really important. It's not just about, we're not going to do one thing of a bacteria. It's lots of different bacteria. So having those prebiotics is really important.
Yeah. And I guess that's the whole thought of, like, when we do these fermented foods and we hope sometimes there's magical pills and like, why am I still getting sick? But the reality is if you're still eating these foods with all of that processed stuff and you're not putting in these prebiotic foods, there's no food for them. So they go in, right? And they're just like, well, there's no food for me here, right? So what's other examples of prebiotic foods
So
that we can be including?
yeah, things that I really like to use are things like soluble fibers as well. So things like oats are a really good
So easy.
option, and especially in this weather, it's a really nice way of nourishing your gut as well. And you can get oats are naturally gluten-free.
Yes.
However, because they're used in the same manufacturing plants as most wheat, they'll say that they're not wheat-free, that they've got gluten in there. So you can get gluten-free oats as well if you need to have that, if you've got an intolerance or something like that. What about you, Em? What do you think prebiotic foods?
I think of pears as well. Like, pears are such a great one as a family food. So I poach pears all the time and have them in the freezer, but poach them either with a vanilla pod or with cinnamon. But pears are such a great fibre. They've got lots of prebiotics, lots of good fibre that help to fuel all your good bacteria.
An apple.
So an apple is
This is great. This is all in season. We did it at the right time.
Yeah.
We're fermenting at the right time. Okay. And then, but legumes are another one, right?
Yes.
And onions and garlic.
Yes, but
Okay.
some people get a bit funny with too much onions and garlic because they are a food that has these types of fibre that can irritate some people. So you may have heard of the FODMAP diet. So onions and garlics do have high levels of a certain types of FODMAP. So if they irritate you, then just put them to the side. But otherwise, they can be amazing for you. I also think leek is such an undervalued. It's in that sort of category as well with onions and garlic.
Yep.
So I use leek a lot. I think it has a sort of more subtle, elegant flavour than onions sometimes. And it's really nice sautéed with butter with some scrambled eggs. That's how I'm liking it right now.
I put it in my quiches.
Yeah,
so if
beautiful.
I make a quiche, I always put the leek in there because it gives it a sweetness.
Yes.
So that's in season now too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, this is really great. So let's go through. I want to, and sorry I didn't tell you guys on this question before, but I want to really dumb it down for us. So we said breakfast. Let's do 3 options that are a prebiotic rich breakfast, and then I want to do a lunch and I want to do a dinner. Now you've given me some ideas already. So Brecky, we've said oats.
Yes.
So oats
Brilliant.
with your
Or
stewed
overnight oats.
apple or pear, because
Pick.
then you're getting. Then also we
Some
like to
coconut
put
yogurt with that.
extra protein. So things like walnuts and nuts and seeds are really
Chia
beneficial.
seeds.
Chia seeds are great, soluble fibre.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, I would make the oats more interesting. I just wouldn't give the oats. I'd dress it up.
Yes.
But coconut yogurt, walnuts, chia seeds. Sometimes I use LSA, which is linseed, sunflowers, almond meal mix as well.
Yeah, and the kids love putting that stuff on. Like, I know for me, when I like put that at the table, and it's literally just grabbing the jar that, you know, I'm not fancy out of the pantry, and like it's empowering for them, right? Like, I find that so much of this, and it's been so great of our fermenting journey, because so often, like, we're getting the kids involved in actually making it. They feel empowered, and then they want to eat it. So could another option, so that's the first one, so we said porridge or brekkie. The second, could it be beans? I know we were saying
homemade baked
beans.
beans.
Yes. That with a piece of
Delicious.
sourdough. We're all making olive sourdough.
And you can put lots of veggies. Like you can make your tomato base and then add in some herbs and spices.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
The kids would love that for sure.
Yeah.
And a smoothie base. So if we, because I know we love smoothies, and especially like I teach the guys that with coconut, like the coconut yogurt we make, put a bit of extra water in, give it a quick whiz, and then you've got a coconut milk that's full of the good guys for your yogurt, for your smoothie base. You mentioned nuts and the LSA and all those, so whacking some of that in. Is there anything else like spinach and all that in there.
Definitely spinach, bit of avocado. If you really want to hit the resistant starch, which is really like a superfood of prebiotic, you can try a little bit of green banana powder. So that has very high levels of resistant starch. I'm just going to give you a warning though, start with small amounts, because if you put too much in, it tastes like, it's very claggy, floury, like it's very starch-based.
Yeah.
So just have a little bit.
So like
in
a
your
quarter
smoothie.
of a teaspoon?
Yeah, quarter of a
that's
teaspoon. Start with that.
That's a
but
great idea.
such a good kind of superfood for those good bacteria.
You can find it in the health food aisle in Woolies.
Yes.
And I'm not sure about Coles, but I know it's definitely in Woolies. So it's available, and that's a great idea. And you could even potentially have you mixed it in with oats yet, Em, or tried it like that?
Haven't yet. I
wonder
need to.
if that would taste good as well.
I think
You
just
could
the whole
hide
trick,
it.
go slow.
Yeah.
Especially for the kids, like with that, just start slow. But that's really going to fuel their gut bacteria all day long.
Amazing.
Like, great.
So that means, and I hope we have explained it, but just that means that then when you're putting in the ferments, they've got the food that is there to start colonising them and then doing all their stuff, right?
Yeah.
Okay, let's go to lunches. So we mentioned a frittata, or if you want to use pastry, that's fine. Like a quiche would be gorgeous with some almond meal and all of those. I love making that. The different is there certain veggies you mentioned? Leek was fantastic, and we know potatoes, and we're going to talk about resistant starch in a sec. Asparagus.
Yeah, asparagus, but it's really helpful as a prebiotic as well.
Inulin.
Yeah,
Inulin,
yeah,
yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
Okay.
A big minestrone, like a big soup with beans and all the veggies. I mean, it's a good way to use up the things that need using up too.
Yes.
A really great way to have them all, and just have a tomato base, and then on the side you could just have a little bit of fermented veg on the side.
Totally.
Yeah.
So it's a nice little crunchy thing to have.
I love that.
In between the soup.
So we've got those two. Let's talk about one that would be for the lunch boxes. So we know
you could do the boiled. If
eggs.
your kids are happy to have boiled eggs in their lunchbox, I definitely think that it would be great to include with a ferment. Like I love the sound of your ferment carrots.
They're so good. I'll sort you guys out. We'll teach them, won't we, guys?
Yeah.
We'll teach them. But like even a sourdough bread, right? And that's been really cool. Is that we've been teaching that you can do the gorgeous cob loaves, but you can also do it a standard which way. But to put on it, is there anything like avocado?
Avocado is really rich in fibre. Like you wouldn't realise it, but it's got a lot of fibre in it.
Wonderful.
Just put a little sprinkle of lemon juice so it doesn't go too brown in the lunchbox.
Yeah. With hummus. I don't know if you guys have had that. Like avocado, grated carrot, and hummus.
Yum.
Is like my kids love that.
Yeah.
That's a really great one. Okay, and then so dinners we mentioned a soup.
Yes.
Is it so? It's really vegetables, right? Rather than like the prebiotics are not rich in meat bases.
That's a really good point. It's got to be plant based.
Yeah.
It's got to be plant based.
To get the prebiotics has to be plant based.
Okay.
So for those people that tend not to eat much variety in their vegetable choices, they're probably going to struggle with getting enough fuel for their good bacteria. So just always think with your dinners to get as many colours on the plate as possible in relation to vegetables. So think about the rainbow that you want on your plate. So even if it's something as simple as I need to have 3 different coloured vegetables in my dinner.
Love that.
So 3 different colours. Whatever they are, doesn't matter, but 3 different colours. And then you rotate those vegetables. So, for example, you might start with broccoli, and then the following week you might go to beans, and the following week you might have zucchini. So at least you're rotating, and your gut loves, as you said, diversity. So the more variety, the better. So just start with that one simple thing.
I love that. Okay, done. All right. Well, I think we've got those tactical.
But with kids, sometimes they have to see it a few times as well to try it. So just keep offering it.
And serving it in different ways. Like it's interesting, one of the recipes we have for the sauerkraut is putting beetroot in it. And typically kids, some, not all, but I know mine love it roasted, whereas when I've pickled it, they don't like it. I'm like, you guys are crazy. Aussie at all?
And
what's going on here? Yeah. But then whereas if I grate it through the sauerkraut, A-okay.
Yeah.
So I guess, guys, it's thinking of that too, and how Em was saying there of colours. That can be the beauty as well of what we're doing with these ferments is going, okay, well, I might go and grab, you were mentioning your turmeric sauerkraut. that's a colour,
Yes.
right? Like there, we've got some yellow. Okay, what else can I do? I've got the orange of a carrot, brilliant. And then I've got the rest of my dinner sort of going on. So yeah, okay, cool. We mentioned resistant starch. What is it?
Basically, it's a starch that's feeding those bacteria. How would you describe it, Em?
Well, I always think of resistant starch out of all the different fibres. So it's a type of fibre. So there's lots of different types of fibre, but it's probably the one that fuels those gut bacteria the most, keeps them the happiest. So what we want to think about is that not only do we want a lot of bacteria in our gut, we want a lot of different types of bacteria.
Yes.
And resistant starch feeds nearly all the different types of bacteria. So it doesn't just feed one type of bacteria or just a few, it treats everybody. It's like the universal food for our gut.
Yeah. And it doesn't digest until there or something?
Until the colon.
Yeah, which is where all the guys are,
Yes.
right?
And most people don't have enough resistant starch to actually get down to that colon as well, which is why it's so good to have like the green banana flour, for example, that you can hide and start to get your kids to have that diversity. But the other thing that's really interesting about resistant starch is that it's been clinically trialled for fat loss as well, which is an added bonus.
Keep talking.
Yeah. Because, you know, there are certain strains of bacteria that they found to be like in a thin person. And resistant starch, as Em was saying, feeds all the diversity. And so therefore, they found that resistant starch helps with fat loss.
Incredible.
Yeah.
I'm going to go on a tangent there for a sec, guys, and I'll make sure I put it in the comments. But Sonia and Em literally every week come on to their social media channels and they talk about the latest research. So I've heard you talk of those, and I literally binge watch the girls. I love it. I do. I love all this because it's not just like, this could work. You're like, okay, so there was a study that was 350 people, and like you read that and then talk in human talk. So if you want to learn a little bit more about that, and especially about that, like the weight loss side of it, and you've spoken about the keto, with the actual research of like this stuff actually works. You guys mentioning that you did just before about the resistant starch is that sometimes that can be quite a pickle for people, is because it's not actually getting to there. Is there anything that I could know that that's what could be going on with me? I sort of want to start touching on that of, you know, with
like
these ferments.
How do you know if you've got a digestive?
Yeah.
Look, lots of people who come to us for digestive issues, they might have tummy pain, especially kiddies. Bloating is a really big one.
And that higher bloating as well. Yes. That kind of higher bloating rather than the lower bloating. So if I see a patient that has that higher bloating, which is kind of starts just under the ribs, I definitely think about the fact that they're probably not digesting their starch down here, they're digesting it up here, which is the wrong place.
Oh, wow, that's so cool.
Yeah.
And so what happens if you're bloating below? Then that's
a
whole other...
it's a different situation. But up here, we're definitely thinking about low stomach acid, not enough digestive enzymes. So sort of totally different picture of symptoms that we see. Yeah.
And people on medications, like a lot, what we've found a lot in clinic at the moment, and we were talking about it the other day, weren't we? And that's why that they're coming on reflux medication. But what that does is it lowers their stomach acid, and so as Em said, then those proteins aren't being digested, and you know, the digestive enzymes may be low already, so then they're coming and they're not digesting their foods.
Yeah.
Someone's asking a question.
Okay, yes, I will definitely. Veronica's like, I want your social media channels. Done. I'm all of that. Guys, we've got only a little bit more to talk about, so if there is some questions, look at these two incredible brains and beauties, put them there, like, so that we can cover it. That's right. So I guess this is the thing, and something I know when these guys were coming onto the course, I was really passionate about teaching them that if you know that you have gut issues going on, this isn't going to be a magical pill. But learning ferments for a lot of people can be really beneficial, especially if you're not going overboard. And we talk a lot about, you know, the hipsters drinking the 375 mils of kombucha.
No,
don't do that.
Don't
do it.
Like, so many people come in going, I'm drunk this much, and then they'll hear their stomach going, their gut going, like, oh my God, what have you done?
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, so don't do that.
Don't do it.
But what can be other stuff, I guess, that you guys see where you go, okay, look, I know there's some gut issues going on. And you mentioned just bloating before.
Yeah.
I guess that's a big one. Is there sort of other things that these guys could be like, actually, maybe that's what's...
Constipation.
Yeah, white flags. Yeah, constipation is a big one.
Okay.
And lots of flatulence.
Yeah.
Ah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Lots of flatulence.
Yeah.
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 And so where do you guys tend to start with that? It's coming in and then you're like, okay, mine was stool test.
Yeah, it's a full case history first. So we're going to ask you more questions than you would ever think possible about your gut health, your stools, your everything. There's no such thing as TMI in our clinic.
Yeah.
Because with your symptoms explain to us what's happening inside your body.
Yeah.
We may then refer you for comprehensive stool testing, which looks at all the gut microbiome, which is what you did.
Mm-hmm.
We may look at food intolerance testing as well.
I did that too. Yeah.
Yes. So it depends on what's going on for the patient, but looking at what is driving those symptoms and then treating the underlying drivers.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I want to touch on that food intolerance thing, and I know, I don't know if I've covered it off publicly, but I know in messages when people write to me and say, oh, Stace, when did you find out with my family what their food intolerances were? The beauty of what the girls do is their test looks, and correct me if I'm wrong, but at the blood clotting and how it reacts to the foods,
right?
yeah. So rather than looking at your skin and how that reacts, which is what our typical GP test.
It's an IgE reaction, so that's like a quick reaction, whereas an IgG, which is a food intolerance, they like to say it's like a slow reaction.
Yeah.
Is a way that I like to explain it. So
Okay,
they're looking at
wonderful.
different immune reactions.
Yes. And that gives you a better picture often. I know for us, it really did in my family. My husband with oats, and we had, whereas that doesn't show up. Like they could have tested that, but
and that's the thing is like food intolerance is very different to food allergies. Food allergies, you consume something that's a very fast and quick reaction.
Yeah.
But food intolerances can take up to 3 days to have a reaction. So if you're eating multiple foods every day, lots of different foods, it's very hard to pinprick what's driving your symptoms.
Absolutely.
So unless you do what old school was a full elimination diet, where you pull the diet right back to like lamb and pear, and then for every couple of days introduce one new food, which is horrible to do. Horrible. So this IgG food intolerance testing can actually give us a report and tell us what your body's reacting to.
Which is exactly what you girls are about, of that it's the science behind it. And that's what I loved about this as well, and especially healing my son's gut when I did that, and my husband's, was I knew that his was from this test, it was oats and peanuts. But everything else was literally okay. So we removed oats and peanuts, and we knew it wasn't going to be a miracle cure overnight, as you're saying.
Yeah.
And his was built up for nearly 40 years of it.
Yes.
But 3 months on, it was fine. 5 years on, we are now, and it's still fine.
Yeah.
You know, like, so it's just, I guess that's the thing is, this isn't ever going to be a magic bullet, but there is always answers, and there's ways to find this out. You just need to persevere with it. All right. My daughter is diagnosing herself with egg. Her eye swells and goes red. Her easy fix is antihistamines. I hate her having this. Is egg also damaging her tummy? So I guess that question is, if you know your intolerance is showing differently, can that also be affecting your gut health if it's not constipation?
If it's coming up in your eye, that's a mucous membrane. So this, I like to call this our outer skin, and this is our inner skin. So if it's coming up in your eye, yes, I would say it's coming up in those mucous membranes. And look, if the best way to know if you're having a reaction to a food is to get a reaction, because that's the thing with an intolerance. It's that build up or over time, and you don't necessarily put that migraine with the 5 pieces of bread that you've eaten or whatever it is. Yes. So to know that you immediately react to a food says to me, I would take the food out. I would.
Yeah.
And look, you can find protein, like although eggs are amazing and they have so many different nutrients and they're full of protein, you can replace eggs quite easily. And there's egg replacers and chia seeds.
Yeah, but my thing is as well is what if she fixed her gut and then she could eat eggs again?
Yeah.
That's it.
So yes, we have to take the food out,
Yeah.
and that may be permanent, but it may not. If we
After
do
some
enough gut healing work,
Yeah.
then we do try and get the food back in.
Yeah.
So
And I'm
who's to
case
say?
in point of
Yeah.
that with my little guy. So he was 1 and Em realised it was from the test, gluten, dairy and eggs. And he was off the scales for it. And I'm pretty good at doing what I'm told. I just did it religiously for 6 months. I didn't touch it. We healed his gut. The kid's 5 and like never a flare up since.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
eats it.
Yeah.
I don't go overboard.
Yeah.
No.
But, you know, every third day he takes a really great sourdough to school with some butter, honey, loves life.
Yeah.
So don't fear
Yeah.
this. If you're watching this and you're like, oh my God, but no, but I love this stuff.
Yeah.
It might be just a little while.
Yeah.
It might be. It could be forever, but don't worry, we've got options. But it may well not
Yeah.
be.
Yeah.
So, yeah, okay, we've got one last one. Take the foods out or a few years and then trial when your gut is fixed. Yeah, and I guess you
Doesn't
guide
have
on
to
that,
be
don't
a
you
few
guys, of
years
how to
as
bring
well.
it back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. Like, usually, depending on what's going on, you take that food out, and then we were talking about gut healing. So there's very specific nutrients and, clinically trialed probiotics that have been shown to help repair that gut lining and mucous membranes. So it's not necessarily forever. But that's up to us to help you figure that out.
Yeah.
But yeah, it might not necessarily be years. It might be about a few months or a month. But really 6 weeks would be something that we'd look at.
Yeah.
Awesome. So guys, if you want to find out more, I will put a little link here, but Em and Sonia are here, and the great thing about these girls is you can visit them here in their gorgeous clinic in Balmain Birchgrove area, which is in the inner city of Sydney, but also they do Skype consultations.
Yeah.
So
Zoom.
Zoom, is it? Sorry.
FaceTime, whatever works for you.
Yeah, because I've
Call us.
actually, there's a third of the guys I've done it that are from the UK actually, so
Oh,
it
wow.
don't matter.
No.
Ain't no mountain high enough, right?
That's right.
So yeah, there's no pickle at all, and the great thing about that too with Em and Sonia is that these tests that we were even talking about, they can send you in the mail. And I want to say one last thing about that before I go. If you're freaking out going, oh my gosh, I need to do a blood test to find out like what's going on inside, is that going to be like 500 vials of blood? It's the best. It's literally a pinprick. And I remember I was crying doing it to my son, and he's just sitting there watching Peppa Pig and he's just like, and I'm like, oh my God, I pinpricked you. And he's just like, and you literally have to do like this tiny little thing. So don't, if that's
You
ever a
can do
barrier.
Emperor patches now as well. So Emperor patches numbs.
Yeah.
So for
Great.
The
my
mum.
daughter,
The mum.
it
Okay,
numbs
sweet,
the
yeah.
mum. So it numbs the area.
Yeah.
So you can do it for blood tests and for finger prick.
Yeah, like-
for my daughter, she was like
Yeah.
losing it. So I just used the EMLA, and she was like, she couldn't even feel anything.
Yeah,
So-
because it's not like a proper blood test. Like it's a
No,
pinprick,
it's
like
a
a
pinprick.
diabetes.
It's so over in a second, but
Yeah.
it's the, sometimes just managing that expectation and putting that, numbing cream there. Is
Totally.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, guys, we'll chat to you all soon. Thank you. And I'll save this into the portal as well. Awesome. Wish you were in Vic. No, Veronica. So get online with them. That'll be fine. Bye.